Hi. So I wanted to send this video out because we are not meeting on Monday. I normally send out a video like this at the beginning of the semester, but it was exceptionally important this time around that I send this out just so that you have this information on our first lab. So this video should take no more than 20 minutes. The accompanying video about the first homework should also take no more than 20 minutes. So without further ado, here is the syllabus. So who am I? I am Professor Andrew Rosen. I am the instructor for this course. I'm also the course coordinator for all the sections of this course. I'm also the data science advisor and 4+1 advisor, among other advising positions that I do. So if you have any questions about not only 2168, but the computer science program in general, I'm happy to answer those for you. Just reach out if you have any questions. So what this course covers, regardless of the section that you're in, is how do we organize data in order to solve problems. So this is important because depending on the problem, we can just solve some of these problems just by organizing it really well. We will also learn some problem-solving techniques or algorithms that are extremely useful. We'll be learning in 3223 if you're in computer science or data science, and if you're in IST, you don't have to take that course because that's much more of a mathematical course. So topics include generics, inheritance, array lists, time complexity, linked list, stacks, queues, recursion. Specifically with recursion, we're talking about recursion with backtracking, trees, heaps, Huffman trees, sorting algorithms, hash tables, and graphs. I know you've covered inheritance and array lists. We're actually going to be putting inheritance to good use here, and we're going to be doing array lists in a bit more detail than you may have gone over in 1068. Generics you may not have been exposed to yet. The most important thing to know for my section in specifically is that the lectures are flipped. That means that I have a bunch of lecture recordings that you are expected to watch outside of class, but in return, rather than listening to me yammer on for an hour and 20 minutes in class, you get an hour 10 minutes to an hour 20 minutes in class to work on the homework. And that's extremely useful because I'm there to answer your questions. So you can ask me a question rather than banging your head against the wall for 3 hours on a problem that you'll be able to come to me the next day and go, oh, I have a question, and then you solve it right in front of me. It avoids a lot of pain for everybody involved. I find it's actually an extremely useful way to do this particular course, especially since it also provides a convenient way for you to work with other students. It works out really well. I'd say out of maybe, if I'm teaching about 60 people in this course this semester, there's maybe one person who does not like this. This does not work for them. I'm sorry if that's you. For most people, this works really well. So as far as the videos themselves, I try to make sure that they are no longer than 20 minutes long. Most of them are somewhere between 10 and 15. Some are shorter. Some are 1 or 2 are 18. There is one exception for binary search trees. That video is like a normal lecture, and that is because I did an extremely efficient lecture, and I just decided I can't beat that by chopping it up. It's just all one go. So that's the only exception to the rule. In general, though, it's less videos to watch than typically what you would have in lecture time. So speaking of lecture time and place, I'm obligated to put this in the syllabus, even though it's on your information and my information, Monday to Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12:20 in Tuttleman 402. If I am sick or I am traveling, I will be holding it over Zoom. Unless I'm really sick, in which case I won't be holding class. But if I'm sick, expect me to hold it over Zoom. Labs, I've only got one section this semester, Tuesday 9 a.m. So lecture, lab, lecture. So basically, you get 3 days in a row to work on an assignment, which is pretty cool. So a grade of C or better in 1166 or 1068 is expected. If you got only a C in 1068, you may not be prepared for this course, depending on what that reason is. So speak to me if you're worried about that. Technology requirements. Because this is a flipped class, a reliable laptop is strongly recommended. I not going to say outright required, because you can always go to a kiosk and borrow a laptop, and that works really well. If you can, if that particular workflow works for you, that's great. But if you have a laptop that you cannot rely on, like it takes forever to boot, the keys are missing and you have to, and it just takes forever, and it is a painful experience to use, you are going to suffer physically, emotionally, mentally, and academically this semester until you replace that laptop. Please reread that last point about suffering. I use that word for a reason. You can use torment, lamentations, wailing, gnashing of teeth, any kind of biblical term you like for suffering. It will suffice there. If you are worried you cannot afford a computer, please come and speak to me. I will try my best to figure out a solution for you. I did my entire graduate program on a $450 laptop that I still use to this day, on just not as my normal coding machine, but as but I still use it as hooked up to one of my TVs. Laptops are pretty good once you get above the $400 range, and modern laptops are pretty powerful. So you don't have to go out and buy a MacBook, is what I'm saying. I'm going to be heavily using Canvas, including so you'll be seeing some of that material. I'll pull it up very quickly at the end of the video, but you are expected to check your email daily for basically all your courses. The textbook, I recommend it. Any edition works. It's a very good textbook. I'll be going over all the material in the textbook except for chapter 9 and maybe a new chapter that they added. Any edition works. So my office hours, as you probably know by this point, my office hours are where I'm available to help you. In exchange for the previous semesters, you don't need any appointment or advance notice to meet me. I am going to meet you in person rather than over Zoom from 12:30 to 1:30 on Tuesday and Thursday. If those times don't work for you, just send me an email. I will find a time to meet you over Zoom. These are in person. Any other time, it will most likely be over Zoom. And I can meet with you late if you need it. If you need to meet me late, I'm typically available until maybe 11 o'clock. I try not to meet after that point. So if you need to meet with me, I trust don't feel bad about having to suggest a late time. Other kind of help besides the TA's office hour, which both mine and the TA's will be posted on the front page of Canvas. Free peer tutoring is available for our CIS classes. I believe it's in Circ 358. You'll also get an email later from me about their Zoom schedule, or just their schedule in general, depending on how it works this semester. But there is free peer tutoring available for these classes, and not everybody knows that. All right. So expectations. I don't require attendance. Only because I don't use the word require. I really expect you to be there every lecture. I don't take attendance. Your grade is not directly impacted by attendance. What I will say is that there is a strong correlation between the people who receive A's and the people who show up to class. So trust me when I say that showing up to class, even if you're behind on the material, is good. If you're behind on the material, I get it. It happens. Don't feel embarrassed. Speak to me and I will do my best to help you get caught up. So if you arrive late, totally, I get that too. It happens. Just enter quietly. I tend to cover, stuff that is not necessarily in the textbook and in the lecture videos. Sometimes I have an in-class activity. These are I don't have too many of those this class, but there's some for recursion that I'm very fond of. All right. If you are ill, if you are or suspect you are sick, do not come to class. Do what you need to do to get healthy. Watch the lecture online. Let me know what you need for me to help you. By watching the lecture online, I record all my lectures. Because of the nature of the flipped classroom, they're typically not that long, and I'll upload them. If you need to, you can email me, and I can potentially arrange to have Zoom open during the lecture so that I can meet with you. But having Zoom open is not something I plan on doing. I don't plan on doing a hybrid approach in general. But if like you're sick and you really need to meet with me, I can arrange for you. Um, if you miss an exam, let me know so you can make it up. If you're ill on the day of an exam, send me an email. If you have to miss if you have to miss the exam because of a traumatic event or something, or a life event or something, let me know. If it's something unexpected, let me know. I can't help you if you don't let me know. Just let me know before the exam starts. If you let me know before the exam starts, the easier it is for me to deal with. But exams are supposed to be an assessment of your skills. And it's not going to be a good assessment of your skills, of what you learned in class. If you're ill, if you're emotionally not great because of a death in the family, if you are exhausted from having to rush a friend to the ER the night before, just be honest with me, and I will try my best to help you out with that. Okay? Speaking of letting me know or having a hard time, if you're having any difficulties in this class, stress, worry, changes in mood, problem eating or sleeping, whether because of this course or other course, don't hesitate to reach out at any hour to me. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Everybody can benefit from just some amount of support. I can listen to you, I can help make you accommodations, and I can direct you to the appropriate services as necessary as we need. But if you're having difficulties, whether be it a mental health thing or just simply not having the time for various things, the earlier you let me know in the semester, the more I can do for you. The appropriate 2 weeks before the end of the semester is not the appropriate time to let me know. I can't really help you at that point. So, disabilities. If you have a disability or some kind of accommodation that is documented and need accommodation, go through DRS to request the accommodations. And I will work with DRS to coordinate any reasonable accommodations. These will all be confidential. I've yet to find an unreasonable accommodation. Okay? So, again, if you need help, let me know. If you are sick, don't show up to class, even if it's an exam. There we go. That covers that all. Okay, recordings. I plan on recording my lectures, typically with OBS. You can make your own recordings of the lectures, but please tell me. That's Pennsylvania law and the way it works. So, here's the official school policy. So, grading. Letter grades are going to be no higher than an A is 90, B is 80, and in general, you need above the 70 to pass the class. Here is the breakpoints for last semester. I'll explain how this works later on this semester, but generally what I do is I look for a dividing line between the A's and the B's, and anything that is below a 90 gets the A minus range. So it really, again, depends. This is what it was for last spring. Okay, again, I'll go into more detail about this. Generally, I don't give Fs unless you cheated or just didn't try. If you try, you're getting a D at minimum. Okay? So, there is going to be some extra credit. I will not typically give out extra credits or assignments or tests for you to make up, but I typically do drop a lab. Your final grade is the average of each item weighted accordingly. Quizzes, labs, and assignments, exam 1, exam 2, and the final. Let me go in, and I will go into detail about all those. But first, the labs. Turning in your lab is a two-part process, and this is part of the reason why it's important to come to class. First, you submit it online to Canvas. This is basically typical to what you would do for your homework, submitted by the deadline. I'll go into that in more detail. And then you demo it to me or the TA. Demoing it involves showing me your program, explaining pieces of your source code, and answering some questions. For the first assignment, your question is, please explain your strategy. For the first assignment. That is my question. So, so other times it may just simply be as simple, what was the most difficult part of this for you? But it's mainly just get you talking about your code and get you to be comfortable explaining your code. That is a useful skill for interviews. We do accept your late work. More on that later. well, actually more on that now. I have three. I like to divide my deadlines into three types, just like we have hardware, firmware, and software. I have hard deadlines, firm deadlines, and soft deadlines. Soft deadlines are the quizzes. You'll note that if you check on Canvas, they have no due dates. So quizzes are low stakes, unproctored assessments of your mastery in the course. This is not true anymore. I want them to be done in the module that they're listed in. So if we're studying week one, so the stuff with object-oriented programming, I want that done during the first week. ArrayList during the second week, but I'm not going to complain if they're not if they don't show up until later. These are low stakes quizzes. They are primarily meant for self-assessments. They are you will typically have a opportunity to retake them with like a 15-minute lockout. I find that's kind of the perfect penalty for having to retake it, which is not retaking it immediately. 15 minutes is just long enough to be annoying of a penalty without being punitive, excessively punitive. But again, these are not something to be stressful about. These are primarily self-assessments. Exams, on the other hand, these things have hard deadlines, e.g. the end of the class. We will typically give them out in your lab period. They are going to be on paper. This is a change from previous semesters. Typically week 6 and week 10 or 11. Okay, if you have an accommodation, let me know. The due date for exams is hard. Due date will not be altered for any student without prior approval, accommodation, or some documented emergency or event. If you're sick and you send me a message, that's generally enough to cover it. Final exam, that's just another exam, but we generally do that together with the other sections. It has a reputation for being difficult. This is due to the breadth of the material, and what I mean by this bit is specifically because I've seemed to always give this exam on the last day of final exams. I always seem to give my exams on the last day of finals. I hate it. And by that point, everybody's just kind of had enough of exams. The most important thing to know is that if you have more than 2 finals on the same day, university policy allows you to request a professor to provide a different exam day or a different time for your final. Okay, late penalties. Okay. 5 points per day, maximum penalty of 50% of the points. So in other words, worst case scenario, things can be turned in for half credit. They are determined when you turn it in, not when you demo it. But the sooner you demo, the sooner we can correct a mistake. If you make a mistake and it's been a couple days, whatever, just correct it as soon as you can and you'll get full credit. But you have up to 2 weeks after the due date to demo your lab. Otherwise, will be a 0. Typically, this is in there for one specific reason. Which is I don't want students demoing all their stuff all at once at the end of the semester. It never works out well for the student, and it ends up being a total waste of my time. So this allows me to just simply say no. If it's been 3 weeks, whatever, I'll waive it. But again, it should not be an issue to demo these labs because you're coming to class, right? You're going to lab, right? That's one thing I didn't mention, which is where you demo it. Where do you demo it, to me or the TA? During the lecture, during the lab, or during office hours. So basically anytime you can have contact with us. So, let's see. Academic honesty. All right, so you can read through this yourself, but the important thing is that if you're having trouble in completing an assignment, please send me an email so I can arrange to walk you through to a path to the solution. Don't go to Chegg unless you want to fail the course and receive an academic misconduct charge. Don't just ask ChatGPT for something easy for a solution because you'll have to be able to explain it during a demo, and you're certainly going to not be able to do it on the exam. I adapted this policy in general from CS50, but in general, I try to be reasonable about this stuff as possible. You can check through the examples yourself since we're coming up on 20 minutes, but what does this mean? It means basically if you are able to, if you're unable to complete your code and you're having issues with it or bugs, you can share your code with other people. Yeah, you can go out and basically say, I need help. Something's wrong with my code. I need it. In general, the rule is if you're the one asking for help, you can share your code. But if you're trying to help other people, you cannot share your code. Right? Generally speaking, when asking for help, you may show your code to others, but you cannot view theirs. Sorry. Basically, no sharing answers with other students, but you can help other students get to answers. There are a bunch of examples here of what's reasonable and what's not reasonable. When in doubt, ask me. I have it in my other syllabus, and I need to put it here. But if you've found that you have cheated in some way, shape, or form, or you regret, if you found you have cheated, you went online, got the answer, you copied something from somebody else, I have something called the regret clause. So just let me know within 72 hours of the infraction, and it will not be a academic misconduct charge. You may receive no credit for that assignment or that portion of the assignment that you've cheated on, but it will not be an academic misconduct charge. This has happened on the final exam where a student said, I cheated on this particular question, and so I just simply gave them a 0 for that question. It was a 20-point question, but it was not an academic misconduct charge, and I would have caught him out on this. Okay. All right, last thing very quickly. Sorry, I have my hotkey for pausing set up to Control-Shift-P, so that brought up a private window. Anyway, I just wanted to simply show you a couple things to note about the Canvas page. First off, going to modules. That's where you'll find most of the things. Important information is right here. This extra credit assignment is due by the end of the semester. So if you have nothing else to do during the first week, I highly recommend this because regular expressions are extremely useful if you didn't get the chance to learn them in 1051. All right, so this is the first week. This is the second week. Third week, this will be week 4 and 5. So this is typically the big hurdle for typically the big hurdle for students. If you can get through this, you're probably in the clear. So this is what we're covering the first week. Be sure to watch these videos. You can find them here. They're typically listed underneath each of these modules. You click on them. It's a playlist. It's an embedded playlist. I use YouTube because YouTube works on everything. My recommendation, though, is use an ad blocker because I don't monetize it. I don't need your likes. I don't need your subscription. I just simply use YouTube because it works. Okay. You can find my assignments under assignments, obviously. I'm adjusting the due date, syllabus. So what's other stuff that's useful is over here. My information over here. This is the Zoom link if you need to meet with me. Also, I will be updating this because I'll be putting this on YouTube, but I'll be updating this link. This is a link to my class Discord. I run a Discord for all my classes. So if you're already a member, great. Otherwise, join this link. It's a great way to chat with students. A lot of times people come to the class, they communicate, they arrange to meet on some kind of texting group. And if somebody joins later, then they're going to miss out. So I try to accommodate all the students, and trust me, it's a very useful resource to meet over this Discord. The YouTube channel is over here. Lecture recordings. The lecture recordings can be found here and here. I will not only have all of this lecture, but all the previous lectures. Sorry, not this semester, but all the previous semesters that I've been recording. These are, again, all embedded playlists. All right, I think that is everything I need to cover. So I will be sending out this video in a bit. And I look forward to seeing you all in class.